I came across this story on Twitter, and I wish I had knew about it when I was reading the article, considering what I read actually occurred back in 2019. So in this picture, you see a young girl by the name of Akeelah Jackson, and back in 2019, she was struck and killed by a police uh cruiser, and she ended up dying. And the police, and I'm gonna pull up his picture in a second. He basically had to go to trial, and I believe he had a bench trial in which he was found not guilty in an involuntary manslaughter charge against him. Now, when you hear all the details, you're gonna be like, how in the world did he actually beat this? Remember, he had a bench trial, and they probably pulled out all the stops in order for him to get off. And yes, before you answer, and before you even ask, this was a PC man who was involved with this. A former St. Louis County officer has been found not guilty of involuntary manslaughter for the death of a 12-year-old girl who was hit by his patrol car in 2019. Officer Preston Marquart was charged with involuntary manslaughter in the death of Akeelah Jackson, who was hit by the patrol car as she crossed a street. Prosecutors argued during a trial on Tuesday that Marquart was driving nearly twice the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit and did not activate his siren or emergency lights while pursuing a vehicle without license plates. So this guy was driving pretty much 60 in the 30. He did not have his sirens on, which you're supposed to have on when it's an emergency, especially when you're in a high pursuit of somebody or a hot pursuit of somebody. And it sounds to me like he probably was driving through a residential area or somewhere near it. Circuit Judge Scott Milliken ruled Friday that Marquardt's vehicle accelerated a matter of seconds and a short distance before the girl was hit. Milliken said Marquardt was relying on his training when he decided to not activate the emergency sirens and lights, KSDK-TV reported. He said Marquardt's actions that day did not constitute criminal negligence. I call BS on that. He should have definitely put his sirens on. So basically, are you trying to tell me that if the little girl didn't walk out into the street, even though she didn't know that it was a police car coming right down the street and hit her, that so it almost sounds like to me they're trying to blame her death on her. You know, the terminology victim blaming, that's the vibe that I'm getting from this. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner's office said in a statement it was disappointed with the judge's decision and will continue to hold all individuals accountable regardless of their occupation and station in life. Marquardt's attorney Joe Hogan said the verdict was based on facts and evidence while the prosecution was based on the politics of prosecuting police officers. See, people like that be making me want to just reach through the screen. But let me pause it right quick and pull up this person's image. So this is the guy right here who hit Akeelah Jackson, causing her to die, and will not face any consequences for what he did. Let's keep in mind what happened. He was in a hot pursuit of somebody who was driving without a license. Fair enough. But he did not have his sirens on. That was one major red flag right there. He was driving double the speed limit, which was 30 miles an hour. So he was going 60 in the 30. You, as a cop, if you are in a pursuit of somebody, should always have your sirens on because it's an emergency. That way, when you're flying through, people know, okay, I'm hearing those sirens. Let me move out of the way. And also, when it's an emergency vehicle, when you're driving, what do you usually do? You pull over to the shoulder or to the side and cut your speed or stop moving altogether when you pull over. And if you had a red light, that's the only time you have permission to really go through a red light legally. Like, they won't send you a ticket in the mail for that because they can see it on the camera that, oh, it was an emergency vehicle right there. So we're not going to give that person a ticket for going through the light. We understand why they did it. But yeah, this is all the way messed up. And they're trying to make it seem like, oh, because he was so close to her, it was no way that he was going to be able to cut his speed. That's what they're making it seem like, it was so fast. It's not like saying that she was all the way at the other end of the street and he was all the way at the other end, to the point where he could have cut his speed and avoided hitting her or swerve around her if he had the time. They made it seem like, oh, she was right there. There's no way he could have got around her and just hit her. She's dead. And now he's just going to walk away from this. And they actually charged him correctly, involuntary manslaughter. But again, alas, he's able to walk. And notice it said he's a former cop. So I won't be surprised that now that he's being found not guilty, that he'll be able to possibly, I don't know, get another job as a cop again. But like I said, this is my first time hearing about the story. I didn't hear about this when it first happened back in 2019. It's one of those stories, I guess, that got buried. And if y'all live in St. Louis, y'all can let me know, did y'all hear about this story and what were your thoughts about it when you heard about it? And what are your thoughts about this? Because something tells me, unless it's in the local news, lamestream media is not talking about it. But I'll let y'all have at it down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what you think.